Greetings, dear ones. This is October 10th, 2022, and this is this month's talk on how much more you are than you know. And I'm going to be doing another one in a couple weeks simply because this month has so much energetics, and I'm very, very excited that we are starting the Personal and Planetary Redesign group. And that's going to be open on the 1st of November. And it starts with a very, very profound, very deep uh, retreat, virtual retreat, because the 1st of November is All Souls Day. And traditionally, for the past 17, 18 years, I have been doing an event on around those dates because for me it is one of the most, if not the most powerful time of the year to reconnect, to reset, to redesign not only aspects in your own life, but those of your ancestors, those of the cultures you're connected to, and particularly anything that is very much up, so to speak, on the earth at that time, whether in our global socio-political scene or whether it is a certain aspect of weather or the earth. And those that have attended have always experienced a deep, deep, deep shifting within and leaving with so much more than they came in with, so much more of themselves, so much more access, etc. So I'm very, very excited that this signature program, which is going to be a 5-month program, is going to start on that date and launch the potential for your personal transformation, which evolves the planet. So I again today particularly chose Indigenous Peoples Day, not only because it is a very important day in my world, um, but because some of the things that are hopefully being brought to the foreground about not only Native American culture, but indigenous cultures around the world. Excuse me. And for the work that I do, that cultural connection is absolutely vital to your particular growth and transformation and becoming who you are, because you have your own very deep lineage, whether it's family lineage, um, cultural lineage, religious lineage, spiritual lineage, um, and all of this is part of who you are, not just humanly, but beyond humanly. And you purposefully designed your life and those connections to help you and benefit you in your soul's project. So it's very significant that at the very least we are acknowledging the culture and way of Indigenous peoples, if even a small part. So I was, of course, listening as I always do, and as clients learn to do, to what is coming to the foreground, what aspect of the earth, nature, um, anything and everything on this planet is bringing information at that given moment. And so in my research, I looked up some of the articles or factors about Indigenous Peoples Day. And It was created, so to speak, so it said, excuse me, to honor the culture and history of the native people, in particular of this country. And its history, Native Peoples Day previously, or um, now Indigenous Peoples Day, was actually began or was created initially in like 1912, um, by a man who felt very, very strongly about Native American culture and what had been done to the Native Americans. And he actually convinced the Boy Scouts of America to create their Indigenous Peoples Day. And thereafter, it's a very interesting history. I really encourage you to look for it. I don't want to focus on it or spend much time on it, but it is a very interesting trajectory to come to this day that is also or has been previously celebrated as Columbus Day and made a federal holiday. And while Indigenous Peoples Day is not officially a federal holiday, it is landing on one, and many things are still, of course, closed. And it gives us an opportunity to reflect on those conflicting um, viewpoints or goals of, let's call it, the destruction aspect of this universe versus the creation aspect of this universe. A lot of people frame it in dark versus light, good versus evil. Um, for me, and what I help clients come to know and feel and experience in their own lives, in their own system, is that nothing is purposeless. That the dark or apparent negative or shadow pieces are as significant, if not more so in many cases, than the delightful, pleasurable, constructive, creative, forward moving aspects of our lives. And when I was looking at the different points that were being brought forward for this Indigenous Peoples Day, it was such a model or kind of a framework that reflects an individual's process of self-discovery, self-ownership, self-sovereignty, self-expression of one's essence, etc. So I'm going to be kind of playing off of that as I share how it's directly related to your own process and progress. So, as I said, Indigenous Peoples Day was created to honor the cultures and histories of the Native people. And for not only Indigenous people around the world, but every culture anciently was intimately interconnected with the land and with nature and with the seasons and the cycles of that land, wherever it may be on the earth. Um, whether you live in an area where there are four distinct cycles, or whether you have lived or live or come from an area where, as I did in Panama, living in Panama, there's only two seasons, the wet season and the dry season. Um, Whatever the case, there are always seasons and cycles in every area of the planet, and the peoples that originated in that area were not only intertwined and interconnected, but were actually um, in charge of, so to speak, or um, those that sustained and received from. There was a back and forth constantly. So every culture around the world were, mm, let's say, lack of a better word, in charge of, not because they were overlords of, but caretakers and um, tenders to that particular land, its soil, its animals, its waters, its stones, rocks, mountains. Um, and this way of being with the land is, and nature is, integral to who we are as humans. Moreover, when the relationship is not what it could be, would be, should be, our bodies are breaking down. They are not receiving what they need to be able to be healthy. We're adding things to it. We're, yes, science is fabulously revealing many ways that we can maintain health and extend life, but ultimately, for me, unless and until you are deeply connected and in relationship with your own being, your own body, your own mind, your own soul, and thereby and therethrough interconnected and interrelated with the land you live on, or the land that you come from originally in your ancestry, or some branch thereof, or more to the point, the particular land masses and cultures that you are um, in the moment working with in other existences. Call them past lives, call them Akashic records, call them other existences that you laid out for yourself to assist in your soul's project, is how clients come to see it in the work that I help them with. So it's very, very important to be aware of. And here in the United States, we have probably every culture on the planet. And so it is a great, yes, the great melting pot. And it is important that you are participating and aware of your culture, be it in the United States, not only traditions, but also what's going on sociopolitically, what's going on in the um, back and forth between and among peoples, businesses, etc. It is all part and parcel of that interdependence, intertwining, interrelational way of being here on the earth. So it's important that you not only be a part of your current culture, wherever you may live, but also be aware of the connections through your genetics, through your family history, and what that particular culture experienced, and how it may still be affecting world events, as well as a reflection of what is going on in you personally, and a piece that maybe shows up for you in your daily life that is also deeply cultural. So, when another aspect of Indigenous Peoples Day is to to recognize tribal roots and the tragic stories that hurt but strengthen, quote unquote from an article that I was reading. And these tragic occurrences are very significant here in this country, but all around the world. There has been an attempt to conquer, overpower, and eradicate cultures from the beginning of man here on the planet. And this eradication of a culture or a people affects everyone deeply, because now that culture is no longer tending to and caretaking those particular aspects related to that area of the world, or different aspects within the earth or nature. And that lack of relationship and tending to or caretaking is truly not only throwing off the balance, but causing a whirlwind effect. So we can look intimately at, or look intricately at climate change, lack of biodiversity, all the different factors that science has proven over and over and over again. But for me, in the work that I do and with clients, it is on a much more spiritual and energetic basis, the connection between humans and the earth. And this is directly related to our own personal experiences. Let me back up a little bit. So, as I mentioned, one of the factors of the celebration today, or the recognition of this day, is to honor the cultures and histories of the Native people. And as I mentioned, that is a back and forth relational experience that tends the land, but also maintains the physical, emotional, spiritual, and energetic aspect of the peoples on it. And when that is dishonored, we're actually looking at a very similar way in which, as children, our own unique way, our natural way of being, is also dishonored. Now, most people don't want to recognize that they had a dysfunctional childhood, if you will, or problems, or their parents, were people who, were bad in any way. But, and this isn't about blaming them, but it is about recognizing that those patterned, those deeply felt and experienced effects of a child stay deeply patterned within, and that's what you're facing on a daily basis. So when the unique and natural way of a child is not honored, and a parent doesn't make that extra effort and time to really listen and allow the child to show them who they are, more often than not, a parent is telling a child in one way or the other who they are and what their way is, because it's more convenient than really taking, again, that time and effort and energy and willingness to be curious and care for that child, or honor that natural way of that child. And when we're speaking about the tribal roots and tragic stories that hurt but strengthened, and the eradication thereof of a culture or a people, and as I mentioned, how deeply that's affecting everyone in the world, it's also it's an outpicturing of what happens to a child. Children are so sensitive, so tender, so open, so um, vulnerable to words, energies, actions of those around them, that it doesn't take a great deal to severely hurt a child and create great tragedy within them. And when I read that line of it recognizing tribal roots and the tragic stories that hurt but strengthen, I and my clients are aware that it did hurt. It didn't necessarily, well, let me back up. It strengthened their defense system. So that defense system, in its strengthening, makes it more difficult to actually access and come back to the roots of who you really are. And that's the process that I work with clients, is bringing you back to who you truly are, and then even going further and accessing the magnificence and the breadth and width of you, not only as a human, but the connections that you have to the earth, to this evolutionary process, to your wider self, which is your soul self, and the other existences that you are intricately working with for that soul project. Another aspect that is part of today's recognition of Indigenous peoples is that their way of life carries wisdom, excuse me, and valuable insights into how we can live sustainably. Again, this is not merely Indigenous cultures, excuse me, but every culture around the world was developed in a way that there was, again, this connection and communication and cooperation and collaboration with the earth, with the cycles and seasons and plants and animals and everything that went along with the process of living, hunting, growing, harvesting, etc. And this ancient knowledge was not merely cognitive and behavioral, i.e., doing things simply because they were done that way before, but each ritual, each ceremony, each action within those seasons and cycles were in relationship with recognition of the beingness of the land, the plants, the animals, everything on it and in it, including ancestors, including the particular otherworldly beings that were present, are present still in many places, in that particular area of the world that that culture developed out of. So this ancient knowledge is a felt sense. It's a language that goes beyond the mind and linear sentences, linear words making into a sentence. But we have forgotten that language. We have distanced ourselves from that language and rely so heavily on the intellect or the cognitive that we have disconnected from not merely the land and the animals and nature, etc., but with those aspects of ourself that are constantly communicating with us, be it through your body, be it through your energy field, be it through your emotional body, be it through your wider self, which is your soul self, and constantly sending you information, guidance, etc., or whether it's with your guides, teachers, masters, however you word that, see that, of unseen helpers. And again, how does this relate back to a child's experience, your individual experience? Is that your soul self, your wider self, is in constant communion and communication with you through your innate, which is a particular structure within the energy field, but also commonly known as the gut. And it happens to be not far from your stomach area. And that internal knowledge and insight and wisdom that we all come in with was, in whatever way, made different experiences from and woundings from our childhood caused us to shut down, cover up, negate, make wrong, distance ourselves from our own internal wisdom and insight because it completely clashed with what was being experienced in the outside world. And if you stayed with what you felt as a child, then it was completely intolerable on a physio-emotional level to be able to live in what you were living. And so the internal insight and wisdom had to be shut down, covered up, so that you could continue for another 18, 15, 14 years, whatever it may be, in this environment. So in the process, when I'm working with clients, what comes to happen is that they have such the woundings and the which are directly representative in your current day issues are transmuted to a level that reconnects or uncovers or opens up once again that direct line of communication to your soul. And my clients are moving from that place to make decisions in their daily life, to hear when and where and how to show up or follow an opportunity, or make major decisions in your life, because your innate, your soul is always going to lead you to the ideal. It is when we aren't able to hear or don't listen to that and follow some idea intellectually of what should take place that we oftentimes get tripped up or have very uncomfortable repercussions. So again, your innate, that internal wisdom and insight ultimately allows you, when accessed, to thrive and flourish and to sustain that as well. So again, how we recognize those tribal roots and tragic experiences, and as well the way of life of indigenous cultures and ancient peoples, to have that wisdom and insight and connection to be able to thrive. And when we tap that, we are combining that ideally with science to be able to develop or redevelop not only a sustainable environment, but a cooperative and collaborative environment with the earth. And the last piece of note that struck me within the couple of these articles was that Indigenous Peoples Day, as they were relating the history, that again I encourage you to look up, it's very interesting, but that Native Americans were not granted citizenship until 1924. And it's a reflection of when is a people or a person considered worthy or valuable to be a part of society, to benefit from the rights and freedoms of, in this case, this society. And relating that back to the experience of the child is that through those mistaken beliefs and misperceptions about who we are and how the world works in relation to us, we come to believe that we are not valuable, we are not worthy enough, we don't have the right to be full out who we are. We don't have that who we are isn't valuable enough to make a stand or speak our truth or to live our truth, and that we are not worthy of these large, seemingly impossible dreams within us, whether it's for ourselves or for our planet. And again, in the process that, in this unique process that I've developed over the past 4 decades and more, clients come to undo and redo those mistaken beliefs and feelings and perceptions about who they are, coming back to their original natural way of being, and are living the lives that they envisioned or dreamed of. The stories, like I'll try to keep up with, on Facebook, some of the stories of clients who have come to adore themselves and to value themselves so much that they will not make a choice, whether it's with food or whether it's a choice in their life that would harm themselves, because they feel so strongly their own worth and value and preciousness. So all of these discoveries, uncoveries, and explorations are going to be part and parcel of the upcoming 5-month program. And there will be several different opportunities throughout, once a week, to be able to deeply transform these patterns within you and become so much more than you are even aware of. And another thing that is so significant, I think, certainly in indigenous cultures, and as I mentioned, in all ancient cultures, there was a very intimate listening and a very intimate language or communication through language of signs and symbols and the way nature was presenting itself, or the appearance of an animal, or the feel of the land or the soil. All of this, we were very, very much more attuned to and in tune with this communication and connection. And one of the most fascinating things that I've found in all these many years of working with clients is that as these patterns are reset into their original, or as people work this process, your instinctive, innate, intuitive ways come online. And everyone's unique. So often now there's taught about how to awaken your intuition, and emphasis on the third eye and the seeing and maybe even hearing, which are all related to the upper chakras, and disconnects you from all of the other means of sensing and communication and collaboration which goes on, and clients come to be aware of all day long. There is information. It's like a constant spiritual ticker tape that goes on, showing you, guiding you, encouraging you, applauding you, validating you, um, laughing with you. It's often so funny and so far out that you just have to laugh at the in amazement and fun of how your system, your people, your way of communication brings you the clues and signs and help. So, because everything here, whether it's in nature, whether it is the computer, whether it is a truck that goes by with a symbol or words on it, something you overhear, everything is here to help you. It is here for you. It is here with you. And when you are in tune and attuned to that information, then this is play and it is fun no matter what appears to be going on in the world and in your life. That deeper way of being, your natural way of being, does not throw you off kilter. It doesn't, or if it does, you very quickly can get back to yourself and your fun and your team and what you're doing in the world on a daily basis. But it is a question of learning that language. And as I said, it's a felt sense. It comes in symbol and metaphor and is not necessarily, it may have to filter through the brain, but it isn't necessarily coming from these upper sources. For example, I had a conversation with someone that I had met in that in the phone call, had not known them before that. We ended up having a very extended conversation about Costa Rica, about the fact that I lived there and my experiences there, but moreover, because this person had traveled there multiple times, had purchased land there, and is intending to move there and create a life. So it was a very extensive conversation about Costa Rica. I'm sitting there on my couch working on the computer, trying to organize some things. And in the background, I have Turner Classic Movies on because it's always a delight, and it was fascinating that they are focusing on Hispanic heritage, and an actress that I knew of but had never really experienced before, Lupe Velez, and her extended career in Hollywood, despite her presentation oftentimes in very non-flattering ways to Latin America. And so the TV was just running, and the movie ended, and up comes a short that was, these were shown in movie theaters, for those of you who are very young and unaware. In movie theaters long ago, you didn't just get a movie and a bunch of ads or previews like you do now. There were actual newsreels, a cartoon. In this case, it was called Travel Talks. And I think they're about 10 minutes long, maybe less. And this particular gentleman traveled all over the world and was able to allow people to see other cultures, other lands, other land masses that they would never be able to see, because at that time both people still coming out of or still within the Depression and then World War. So there were many years that people couldn't travel, didn't travel, and then even then it was more the affluent that were able to do so. And this allowed people to experience other places, other ways, other cultures. So it's running in the background, and I always like to see them because they're a snapshot in time of that particular country and culture. And so it comes on, and the opening comes to travel talks. And where is he going that night? Last night, he's going to Costa Rica. And so I'm watching travel talks, 10 minutes of, old Costa Rica. But the point is, again, this is one of those certainly synchronistic, perhaps even hypersynchronistic, in that what are the odds? What I call a WATO, WATO. What are the odds that I just left the TV running as I was working on the computer, that the conversation that I'd had a few hours earlier was deeply surrounding Costa Rica, and there is travel talks in Costa Rica. So this is the fun. This is the deep interconnection and interrelationship that we can have with everything around us. And the help and the beauty and the magnificence of that assistance, or rather, that assistance allows us to come to our own magnificence, our own beauty, our own intricate, purposeful, significant role on this planet at this particular time. So I encourage you, I will put up more information in the near future of the upcoming 5-month group, that you will be completely different at the end. That I can assure you. That I know. Because I've seen it too many times with clients and other courses and workshops and classes that I've taught. It's people accessing themselves, and that's priceless. So I'm hoping you're very, very welcome to contact me, and we can have a conversation about whether that or another one of the current programs running are more effective for your particular place in your life. So I'm going to take a few more minutes to bring all of this information together. This and more is I'm a psychoalchemist, and that means that everything that is currently contributing to certainly my clients, my students, everyone that is in the Healer's Universe net, if you will. But also, these are offerings to everyone in the world right now to listen to connect with. In this region of the country, I'm on the east coast of the United States. We are moving into autumn, a season where the people travel to see the beautiful coloring of the leaves. And yet I want to remind you that that beauty comes from an ending, from a deathing, from the ceasing of a way of being, or ceasing of a life, that leaf. So we are in this current cycle of evolution where we are ending an old way of man, an old way of humanity. And my excitement, my passion, my energy, my everything is to assist and guide and help individuals to reach that deeper awareness, not just awareness of, but reclamation of who they are and their sovereignty and freedom to be exactly what you imagine yourself to be, or suspect you are, or have had little inklings of. And so we're going to call in the leaves and the changing of the leaves. And I am able to move my desk around when I'm working with clients virtually. And the past few days, I can see a line of trees, but a couple of trees in particular, where the sun is hitting, and I'm watching throughout the day the change taking place. And it's so rapid and so dramatic, and um, it's so strong, and can influence and can help you in your radical and rapid change. Certainly in this program that's coming up. Another very significant being in this container today, this crucible, is the moon. Last night was a magnificent full moon. Fortunately, we've had clear skies here again in the east coast, or on the east coast of the United States. And the moon is very, very powerful. Now, it's known as, and you may have seen my post regarding this event, calling it the Hunter's Moon, but there was also a post about different names that the moon has this particular month of the year, or this particular time of the year. Not only different in different tribes around the United States, because they were experiencing different different aspects of the season or the cycle that we're going through, but also some of these names are ancient from other cultures in Europe primarily, but possibly even around the world, because that's how intimate the relationship was to the moon, the sun, the planets, the earth. And this particular moon is so powerful, and the moon itself, one of its major aspects is stability. It works with the gravitational pull of the planet, and that pull and the waves and movement have a direct effect on our physio-energetic stability. So while it's always fun to see a full moon, every single stage of the moon is interrelated to your own body, and potentially help from those characteristics of the moon to benefit you in your transformation or transmutational process. So the moon is here bringing in stability. I was working with a colleague earlier, a few days ago, and one of the strong energies, considered myth, but more and more and more is being revealed that Camelot, in this case, was actually existent, and that many of the things that we think are story, there's more and more evidence, archaeological, anthropological information coming forward that that is not the case. It is not merely a story. And so in this particular, it was an oracle card deck. Camelot represents honor, ideals, aspiration, and trust. But what struck me most was the heading that when honor is lost, purity, respect, love, and connections to natural cycles are lost. And that is one of the things that we're seeing. That without this intimate, intricate relational way of being with the earth and nature, we are not going to continue to exist. It's that simple. And whether it is on a physical basis by making choices in our daily life, whether it's on a larger scale of a country choosing different resources of energy rather than petroleum and gas, whatever it may be, these cycles are vital. Cycles of the earth, cycles of nature, cycles of our own emotional experience are vital to the continuation of that back and forth interdependent system that was created on this earth. And the direct message from Camelot was inspired imagination. And what clients come to see and know, and what my wish and work to convey is in everything that I do, is that anything is possible. Anything, 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 and everything is possible. And when you are more deeply aligned to your imagined life, to your dreamed life, to your envisioned life, if you will, to what you wish this world to be, what you wish your life to be, then that is what is created. And my clients experience that. Their lives are different. They are living their dreamed lives. So I encourage you to look at these pieces within, look at the ways in which you are connected to your own innate, to your own body, to your own emotions. And if I can be of assistance in any way, be it on a one-on-one basis or be it in the upcoming 5-month transformational process, then please reach out and contact me. In the meantime, I'm going to encourage you to just sit in your chair right now, or your couch, or whatever you're sitting on, floor, but to actually feel that couch, feel that floor, feel that chair holding you up. We all have a tendency to sit in the chair. We hold ourselves up in a chair. We hold ourselves up on a regular basis. So we're just going to ask and allow your body, and you can say this to yourself or say it out loud. I am asking and I am allowing my body. I am asking and I am allowing my energy field. I am asking and I am allowing my wider self, which is your soul self. I am asking and I am allowing all my guides, teachers, masters. I am asking all times of me to join me here and now, assisting me in being in me. And that's going to take a little bit, but the more you practice this, the more you will be able to be in that intricate, intimate, interrelational, interdependent system or way of being within you, with your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, your energetic body, and your spiritual body. So we have all of these energies, all of these ideas, all of these concepts, all of this mentioned ways of how what appears to be dark, detrimental, destructive can actually come to be your avenue, your path for reconnection, reestablishing deep communication, for cooperation with and among these different parts of you, with and among the earth and nature, with and among all the unseen beings who are with you in this process, in this life. Collaborating with and among, and communing, not just seeing, not just knowing about, but actually communing with yourself, the earth, nature, the celestial, meaning the cosmos, all of the different bodies and planets and parts of this universe. With all of the unseen cultures, kingdoms, worlds that too are part of this Earth project. The relearning of an ancient, the relearning of languaging in the ancient and indigenous way. The leaves showing us beauty in destruction, beauty in ending, the purposefulness, the fulfillment within that ending of a life or cycle. The moon bringing us stability and, again, those cycles and waves of energy. Ancient stories or myths which are true, real places, experiences, lands, peoples. Which we can and need to access, listen to, receive from. In this case, today, Camelot. And the honor and integrity it represents. Allowing for the respect and love and purity and natural ways to emerge. And that anything you can imagine, you can claim and have and be. This is an extremely plastic and malleable reality. And you are one of the designers. The more of you that you have and are in relationship with, the more clearly, powerfully, effectively does your design physicalize. Allow yourself to feel your body right now. Not think, feel. Let your mind and your third eye take a back seat. For here in this container, this crucible today, is the ancient ways, the indigenous ways, the feminine way, which is through connection, not mental connection, physical connection, true connection. That feminine way of connection, communication. Remember that languaging that was spoken of in symbol and metaphor and signs and sensations. The third aspect of this feminine way, this ancient way, this indigenous way, cooperation. If you are not in cooperation with what your emotional body or energetic body is showing you, communicating to you, then that cooperation within you cannot occur at its optimum. So the more you are in connection and communication with the different aspects of you, cooperating with, you are able to collaborate with, creating your life. So this ancient way, this indigenous way of profound connection to the land, to nature, to the animals, to the seasons, to the cycles, to the way of the earth, and constant communication. All day, throughout the day and night. And the cooperation when and as this ancient way, this indigenous way, when there is that connection and communication, the cooperation between the peoples and the land, the plants, the earth, for the mutual benefit of both. And the intimate, intricate collaboration back and forth, giving and receiving. For physical, energetic, and spiritual benefit, enrichment. And the fifth aspect of that feminine way, that ancient culture and indigenous way, is in communion. Communion with the unseen as well as the seen. Communion with the divine in and with and as all things. Communication, connection, cooperation, collaboration, communion. Allow yourself to sensate, not think, not see, but feel in a sensory way, in a sensating way, in an experiencing way. connection, communication, cooperation, collaboration, and communion with, in, and as you, all parts of you. Thus enabling you to sense and feel and experience the earth, nature, animals, insects, the winged ones, the birds, the standing people, the trees, the moon, the sun, the clouds, the rain, the rivers, the mountains, the minerals and ores and metals, the beingness, the soul sentience in all things. How that sensation and experience fills, fulfills, enriches, enlivens, enhances you and your relationship with you. With the divine, with all things. That's it. Allow your system to drink deeply. As your energy field and your wider self gently, in your own timing, incorporate and embody all that you have felt. And as you follow the lead of of your wider self and your energy field in coming to a more physical experience, perhaps from a less physical experience just now. Give yourself the gift of feeling you as a very physical human and as this wider self of you, interconnected, interrelated, interdependent with all that is. And realizing you are all that and more. You are welcome to continue to sit in this if you so choose. Whenever you end up opening your eyes, you will be perfectly integrated and probably much more in line and attuned to you to go about your day. And if you are opening your eyes at this point, wonderful. Please, everyone, make sure you drink tons of water. Both the information that was brought forward and the energetics are going to definitely have shaken things up a bit, and water allows for your system to kind of flush that out. So it's very necessary. The upcoming 5-month opportunity for transformation, personal and planetary redesign. You're going to be redesigning your own life more in line with exactly what you dream and imagine it to be, as well as what you dream and imagine this world to become. And that'll be starting on November 1st, so please contact me for any questions, or actually to just kind of see if that's right for you. And I'm happy to get on the phone and for 15-20 minutes clarify what it all is included in that program. And if you feel called to do more accelerated work, deeper work, then it would be a great pleasure and honor to work with you on a one-on-one basis. And on the upcoming October, 2 Mondays from now, which is October 24th, I'm going to offer again an opportunity to see and feel you. And that's on the 24th because it is United Nations Day, as well as the beginning of Diwali, which is a Hindu tradition. So we're going to be bringing in those energies as well as what is currently being presented. And I hope you'll join us. It will be at 1 o'clock again. And yes, I'd love your participation as well. Your energy that you bring to the mix, to the crucible, to the container is very significant. And any comments that you may have, whether after listening to this or in relation to anything else I've mentioned, I am delighted to see and hear and respond to. So in the meantime, as always, please know that it is with the deepest of honor, gratitude, and love for your presence here on the planet that I bid you adieu. Bye-bye.